Another thought for the day. Why is it that it's okay for a person of color to call a white man cracker? I've seen go flower rangers. I've heard ghost crickets. I've heard all kinds of racial slurs towards white people, and that's completely okay. But if a white person were to say any kind of derogatory term towards a person of color, outrage. I think it's because of this misconception that all of us white people are supposed to feel guilty because of slavery and such. And I don't think that's a fair statement, because of the fact that not all white people back in the days of slavery owned slaves. So there's a lot of our ancestors, like mine, because I've actually looked into mine, that never owned a slave. My fourth great grandfather lost his arm in the Battle of Shenandoah fighting for the North against slavery. But yet I'm supposed to feel guilty about slavery that happened 300 years ago. It's like, hello, I didn't do anything to you. I didn't put your neck in a noose. I didn't light a cross on fire in your front yard. I didn't do any of that. So why am I supposed to feel guilty for something that happened 300 years ago that were, as I've looked back, weren't even my ancestors? None of my ancestors did that. They were all farmers that lived in the Midwest and up north. They didn't have slaves. I've certainly never owned a slave. Either as my dad's or my dad's dad's. So on and so forth. And I refuse to feel guilty for something that none of my ancestors have actually ever done. None of my ancestors owned slaves, so why should I feel guilty for it? I mean, it's like saying that all white people used to own slaves. That's like saying that all Muslims are terrorists and like to blow up buildings. Is it true? No, of course it's not true. Because not all Muslims are like that. If you actually look at the Quran next to the Bible, they're pretty similar. And the Quran is pretty like all life is precious and should be protected. So not all Muslims are radicals that blow up buildings. Same thing as not all people of color, black people, whatever. You're not all thugs, you're not all gangbangers, and you're not all criminals. That's grouping everybody into one thing. Because a few people 300 years, if you look at it in a grand scale, a few people in this country own slaves, and because of those few people, all white people are supposed to feel guilty? No, I refuse to feel guilty for something that none of my ancestors even did. My ancestors fought against slavery. Think about it. Look at how many white people were involved in the Underground Railroad to move people from slavery, to move them to the Underground Railroad, to get them away from slavery and get them to freedom. How many of us white people are ancestors to those folks that actually were allies with the people of color from the get-go, from the very beginning, because they thought it was wrong? Are the ancestors of those people supposed to feel guilty? I mean, it's just, you call me a cracker, that's just as bad as me calling you the N-word. Because the word cracker has nothing to do with something you eat. The derogatory term of cracker comes from the white people who used to hold the whip, the cracker, the people who would whip the whip that would whip other people. That's not me. If I tried to use the whip, I'd probably take myself out. So that's not me, and that's none of my ancestors. So if it's not okay for me to call you a derogatory term, you shouldn't be able to call me a cracker, white boy, ghost cricket, whatever. I've heard them all. That's not okay either. That's just as bad as me calling you the N word. Which is something I will never say. You know? Because I look at you as an American. I look at you as a person. I don't care what your skin color is. You're cool with me, I'm cool with you. That's just the way it works. I don't care what color skin you got, where you came from, where you grew up from. I don't like that. There's the majority of us white people are the same. But anyways, those are my thoughts. You know, like, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and if you're into it, hit the notification bell, let you know when I upload something new. But this is just a video with my random thoughts, and of course, every video, comments are open for productive conversation, nothing towards hatred, no name calling, no cursing, no talking down to people and treating them bad or whatever. Constructive conversation. My comments are always open for constructive conversation because I'm willing to hear somebody else's side, because I'm not afraid to hear the other side of the coin. I'm really not. So if you got something, throw it down there. Let's conversate. Stay beautiful.